And a good day, everybody. Happy good Wednesday to you. Hump day, as they call it. Great to be with you talking college football again. Focusing on, as we always do at this time, every week, Pac 12 football and beyond. And as you know by now, it is beyond for a reason because we will certainly talk about other things as comes up, certain issues around the world of college football. We certainly can address it all. But we use this forum to try to give each conference the time that it needs to evaluate what's going on with each of the teams. So that's why we do it the way we do it, and we hope that you're enjoying it. If you do enjoy it, we encourage you and ask you for our algorithms and um, analytics. Please search out Pac 12 football and beyond. Sign up for that. That's how we determine whether the level of interest in the show. Um, if you have an interest, whether we continue to do it or not, really will depend upon the numbers. How many people are interested in this show, in this content? Coming up next hour, we're going to do Big 12 football and beyond, and we're going to do basically similar things. So, a reminder that you can catch us live um, in on Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Chris Landry Football. Just go to LandryFootball.com, hit follow Chris on Twitch, and that'll get you right there where we are, and you can join us in the chat room. Ask your questions, and we'll get to it. Can't answer them if you don't ask them. So we got a lot to get to. Also, the detailed film room breakdowns, as well as all the inside information from the world of college football, all around the country, over at LandryFootball.com. Take advantage of the football season special that we have up. So, a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about the mess at Washington State. There is yet another opening in college football. Now, two in the Pac 12. Now, we'll certainly see what they do with the interim role and where they go going forward. I suspect that that's going to be a change at the end of the year, but we'll see how this plays out. But Nick Rolovich is out. That has some underlying stories. We've got USC in the middle of their coaching search, joining LSU, um, Georgia Southern, and Connecticut. Soon to be more. And if you've followed all of our conference shows this week, I've kind of gone through maybe potential danger zone spots in each of the leagues. But we're going to get into that. Going to talk about Oregon. Do they have a glass ceiling? How good are they? What do they look inside the film room? We'll get into that a little bit. The South took a interesting turn, didn't it this week? And we'll hand out game balls and some game recaps and take a look ahead to this week's action. But we're going to start with the Nick Rolovich story. You know by now that the head coach at Washington State decided to not take the vaccine, was outspoken on it. And because it's a state law in Washington that all state employees are required to take the vaccine, and his unwillingness to do it, I was hopeful that there would be a different resolution. And I don't really care about what's the right one because I don't know and not qualified on what's the right solution. But I thought the cooler heads would have prevailed in making this something other than what it came out to be, which is it's a firing, a termination with cause. So he will receive no further payments on his $3 million contract because he was unable to fulfill his job requirements. And as a state employee was not willing to file that. Now, it came out, if you haven't heard, and we knew this was going to happen, his attorney announced that on Wednesday morning that they're going to take legal action due to discriminatory and vindictive behavior. That is the words used by the attorney. Discriminatory and vindictive behavior by Washington State Athletic Director Pat Chung. Nick and 4 assistants were fired for refusing to comply with a mandate requiring state employees to have a vaccination. So it was fired with cause, as I mentioned. I don't know whether there's a case or not. I don't. I mean, I don't know. I really don't. He is someone that is highly religious. And I wonder, again, you can look at it both ways. Get the vaccination. You don't have your job. You were unwilling to get the vaccination. You knew what the ramifications were if you didn't. And here we are. You are in full control of your decision. And that's that. The beliefs about whether you want to take the vaccine or not is up to each individual. There is obviously differing opinions on the safety and what happens if you take the vaccine versus not. Look, I've said this many times, I am not a political person. I don't follow it. I took the vaccine because my doctor suggested I do it. That's who I trust in. I probably, to keep my job as the head coach at Washington State, would have taken the vaccine even if I didn't quite believe in it. So I guess you can say kudos to him for fighting what he believes in. And what if he believes in not taking it, then it certainly, there are ramifications for that. I guess I'm more frustrated than anything. I'd like to take both sides and shake them and say, because from a football standpoint, which is, I get it, it's more than that. It's a lot more than that. But I look at this as a team that's starting to play well, won 3 in a row. They lose 4, and it's complete chaos, complete turmoil. And I don't really know the answer. I really don't. I think it's everybody's right, but yet I also understand that having it, and at some point you got to listen, and it's unfortunate that we don't even trust. We have politicization of even the medical science now, and it's sometimes harder to find the truth. But if there is a way to make your team and your players safer by you taking it, that matters. It's not just about what it makes and what it means for you, but what it means for the people that you're around. And look, again, I don't know. And that's really about all I can go with it. There'll be controversy, there'll be discussions, there'll be frustrations. But I'm frustrated for the decision because I think it really hurts the program. And I thought Nick was starting to get things going. Some other news around the league, by the way. Jackson Dart is not medically cleared yet out at USC. Joe Moorhead was medically cleared to travel with the Ducks to UCLA this weekend in what is the biggest game of the weekend in the conference. Colorado sophomore cornerback Miguel Bethel's knee is still uncertain heading into the game against Cal this week. And, of course, by now Gunnar Cruz is out for Arizona. So we'll get into that. It looks like Kyle Phillips Um, don't know the complete stat. He missed Saturday's game against Washington. And I'm curious to see, what's his availability this week. I want to get into where the conference is as a whole, and as a whole, there's only one team right now. With Arizona State's loss last week, there's only one team that's hanging on to any sorts of glimmer of national playoff resume, and that's Oregon with their win at Ohio State. That look, it happened. And then you're looking strictly at resume, what happened, and if every game it matters, and what happens in week 1, week 2, week 3, they're all important. They all count. It's not. That's a nice win, regardless that Ohio State's better and Oregon is not as good right now. That's still a win. What I'm seeing in this Oregon team, though, is potentially hanging by a thread, and I don't know that 5-2, 3-1 UCLA is not going to beat them this week. I think this UCLA team looks a little bit better right now. They're running the football better. They have a better rushing attack. Oregon does not. Without C.J. Verdell, they're not the same team. They don't have, as I've mentioned all year long, the type of quarterback play that's going to take them next level. I just don't. I don't see Oregon as that team that is a playoff caliber team. Now, if they win out and take care of business and win the conference, I don't think that's going to complete. I don't think they're going to win out. I still think they're the team to beat in the North, but I just don't think they're good enough to be a factor in the playoff situation. The South got really interesting this week with Utah, and we told you at Landry Football, look out, Arizona State. Utah starting to play better. By the way, Utah's 3-0 in the South. It may be the team that ends up getting in and representing the South. And when you think about that, they're 4-2. Lost to BYU, got hammered. Tragic situations, mispractice due to tragic situations with another player getting tragically killed, senselessly killed, innocently killed. Awful situations. The team has just done a fantastic job, and they really outcoached and outplayed Arizona State. Were more physical and took it to them. But do they have enough to sustain there? And by the way, their transfer quarterback, who they were counting on, left the team. Boom. Figure out a way to work around it. That's coaching. You can beat an Arizona State team. That's pretty good. They've done a very good job. So the South gets really interesting. I'm kind of taking you inside the film room. And I do think Oregon, UCLA, Utah, Arizona State in that order are the best teams. But just to give you an idea how they're looking right now, and we're talking about it with Washington State, I'd probably put Oregon State and Washington State, Stanford in that next cluster ahead of USC. That's how much better Washington State was playing. Then you got Washington, and then Colorado and Cal and Arizona State. Arizona's a mess. Game balls this past weekend. Speaking of performances, very impressed with Cameron Rising, the sophomore quarterback out of Utah. Great game, obviously. Ventura, California kid. Getting him ready and crafting a game plan that he can be successful is more than impressive from a coaching standpoint to see what he's doing. On defense, Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah, from Chula Vista, California, he's won this for the second time this year for me. He's had big-time games, 3 sacks, and a great job, 4 tackles for losses against Arizona State. Great job. So really impressive there. I thought Trevor Woods did a really good job on special teams for Colorado. I thought the offensive line, go back to Utah, I thought the center, Nick Ford, anchored a group that did not allow a sack. 69 offensive plays. Utah comeback win over Arizona State, did not allow a sack. They had 4,455 yards of total offense. Great job. Also thought Abe Lucas of Washington State and Ryan Walk, the center from Oregon, had really good weeks as well, grading out. On the defensive line, Brennan Jackson, the edge rusher, thought did a good job, but from Washington. He's from Washington State, I'm sorry. And he's from Temecula, California, I believe is how you pronounce it, upstate. Brennan Jackson from Washington State, really been a disruptive rusher, and he had number of big plays. Noah Sewell, the freshman linebacker from Oregon, outstanding. He led the defense in the win over Cal. 12 tackles, sacks, tackles for losses. Really, really impressive. So that's some of the game balls of the week. I want to get into, before I get into some of the week's action, some of the coaching news. As I mentioned, Washington State, USC's got a coaching opening, and there's people are, because of the nature of when they let Clay Helton go, people are thinking it's quiet. There's something going wrong. There's nothing going wrong. The search is ongoing, and the search will continue to, the research and the investigation on the coaching prospects are ongoing. The behind the scenes maneuvering and the talking with agents, all of those things are ongoing as well. Pardon me. But don't expect to hear like anything definitive or what's the latest. There's just not going to be much there until things get a little bit later in the year, and we'll see as certain candidates' seasons come to an end. So there's really nothing new to report there. It's certainly, I don't know that Luke Fickell would take the job. I can offer that. Certainly, obviously, Mike Bone, with a connection to Luke, would be someone that of interest, and certainly with the connection with him. But I don't know Luke wants to make that move or not. I think he's more inclined to be a Midwest guy, but I don't know. I really don't. That's something that we'll have to see and follow, and we'll certainly update you on that. Some of the action. Oregon getting California 24-17 in what was a roller coaster game at Autzen Stadium. And regardless of what you think of Oregon in terms of national stature, this is an indicator, again, that Oregon's not in the elite level. California is not a really good team. They're 1-4. But they kept this game close, and they had chances in it. Travis Dye was dominant for Oregon. Got the first 4 touches of the game and was, got the field goal early. Then they marched down the field on ensuing drives and kind of, Cal came back and took the lead. And then Anthony Brown missed a couple of throws, and then you start to see where this game could become a little bit dicey for Oregon because they're not able to separate. Chris Hudson lost a fumble after the Ducks defense forced the turnover and down. Brown fumbled the ball back to Cal. It was a back-and-forth game. Cal took that 17-0 lead after tying the game with a field goal and a touchdown, but the offense kind of came alive after Cal took the lead. Brown following Jalen Red. They were a little bit more aggressive. They're a little bit more attacking. Then the defense created more pressure. Kayvon Thibodeau was effective in the second half. He missed the first half due to the targeting call against Stanford. So the defense had a little juice, gave the ball back to the offense with a chance to take the lead, and it looked like it wasn't going to happen. They had an offensive holding call. Then they really began to kind of take control of the game a little bit, and that was the difference there. But it was a game that was a little bit closer. Watching it and then looking at the tape real quick, It wasn't a whole lot that separated them. A little bit disappointing performance by Oregon. Colorado blanks Arizona. There's not a whole lot to say there. Colorado is a weak team in the South, and they destroyed the weakest team in the South. That tells you how bad Arizona is. And look, they've lost 18 games in a row. Yes, it's a rebuild. I said it before, and I'll say it again. That guy is a hype machine at U of A. It's a lot of sizzle, no steak, all hat, no cattle, whatever phrase you want to use. It's just there's not going to be anything done there. He's a guy that's a talker that could talk his way into a job, and I don't think there's anything there. I don't think anything that I would get excited about. There's nothing I see. There's no on-field coaching advantage. There's no real schematic advantage. I think there is poorly coached as they are talentless. I think they have the worst talent in the league, and I think they have the worst coach in the league, and I don't think it's going to get better. I think this could be however long they want to be patient with them, I don't think there's going to be significant improvement there. A team that was showing improvement, headlined at our show today, was Washington State. They beat Stanford 34-31. And let's remember this Stanford team beat Oregon. Of course, Stanford was thumped by Arizona State, and they lost the nail biter. And Stanford got off to a really good start in this game. Got off the 13-0 lead. Jurasek caught a touchdown pass. Tanner McGee opened up the game. Then the Washington State offense began to come to life there. They cut the lead to 13-7. Travell Harris's touchdown from Jaden DeLaura, who's played very well. Calvin Jackson Jr. The defense gave the ball right back to the offense. Justin Rosters forced a fumble. Nathaniel Pete inside the Stanford 10-yard line, and DeLaura threw his third touchdown of the first half, and then they went up 20-13. The Cougars extended the lead in the third quarter on a Max Borgi touchdown run. Stanford would come back with 2 straight touchdown drives and a 2-point conversion, take a 31-27 lead. Then DeLaura came back, punched it in with Max Borgi with 90 seconds left to take the 34-31 lead, and that was it. It was a really fun game, and a sign that, this Washington State team could get off the mat, could face some adversity, come from behind. A lot of positive things, and it ended up being the last game for Nick Rolovich. UCLA played well in the fourth quarter to top Washington 24-17. This Washington offense has been disappointing. The team's been disappointing. The offense of UCLA was once again unstoppable, played very, very well. The story of the game was, for UCLA, was about fourth down. UCLA converted on 3 fourth downs. The first was on a 1-yard line where Dorian Thompson-Robinson ran it in. They got a 17-3 lead. Washington would climb back with a touchdown cap drive by Dylan Morris, and UCLA's third fourth down conversion was converted by DTR. The Bruins needed to pick up a couple of first downs, and at the end, they were able to run the football pretty well, and a really, really good job there. Utah, as we mentioned, got the upset against Arizona State, and I throw a lot of it at the development of Cameron rising up, pardon the pun. Arizona State's offense picked up where it left off last week against Stanford. They took a 21-7 lead on 3 touchdowns by Jaden Daniels. Utah's offense scored on his first drive after. Rising ran it in for a 9-yard touchdown run, but it wouldn't score again in the first half. Arizona State took a 21-7 lead at the half. Second half, all great adjustments and physical dominance by Utah. Arizona State had allowed 26 second-half points all season long coming into this game. Utah put up 28 points in one game alone on Antonio Pierce's defense. After throwing 2 interceptions in the first half, Rising was perfect in the second half, nearly perfect. 13 of 15, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, both to Brant Kuti. The defense held Arizona State to 82 yards in the second half. The run game was outstanding. They were able to develop some run creases. Tavion Thompson finished with 84 yards in the touchdown, rising rush for 59 and a score. TJ Pledger ran very well. This was about coaching. This was about adjustments. And no question that Utah, in what is a developmental program that is the very best year in and year out in the Pac-12. Great job by Kyle Winningham and this group. So that's kind of the look around the league this past week. This week's game, Washington, Arizona. Colorado goes to Cal. Oregon, UCLA is really intriguing because I think it just is. Obviously, UCLA is in it in the South. Oregon, obviously, and important to hold on to their North lead. Utah, Oregon State. Now, Utah, good team, big win. They're going to face a tough physical team in Oregon State. Utah's the better team, but got to handle your business there. USC, Notre Dame, it's a traditional game. Certainly lost a lot of luster, and then BYU goes to Washington State, which is going to be interesting with the developments that are over there. So that's a look at this week's games. We're going to have all these games broken down for you inside LandryFootball.com. All the detailed film room analysis from the breakdowns of all of these games, as well as every other game around the country in college football organized by conference. Got same for the NFL. Check out our notebooks as well on the latest news and notes. Get it all at LandryFootball.com, so take advantage of the football season sale that we have right now. Sign up for Pac-12 football and beyond so that you can get this podcast, and we'll be back shortly after the top of the hour to get you some Big 12 action, talk about some coaches in trouble there, and what's going on with Oklahoma and the resurgence of all of those. Appreciate you joining us. Talk to you in a little bit, folks.